On a shelf in my grandfather's cellar, in a glass canning jar with the lid gone cloudy with age, there are right around 400 bean seeds. I did not pay 1 cent for a single one of them. I have not bought a bean seed in over 30 years, and neither did my father before me, and neither did his. My name is Elias Yoder. I am Amish. I keep 11 hives of honeybees on this farm, and my wife keeps close to half an acre of flowers and herbs that those bees live on, and near every plant in that half acre comes back, year after year, from seed we saved with our own hands. I have never once driven to a store in the spring to buy what my own garden already gave me the fall before. Every spring I watch the English line up at the store for the little colored packets, and forgive me, that is just what we call folks outside our community. No disrespect in it at all. They pay $3, $4, sometimes $5 for a pinch of seed in a paper sleeve. Then they do it again the next spring, and the spring after that, for as long as they keep a garden. And here is the part I am going to tell you that should make you a little angry, because a great many of those seeds were built on purpose so that you could never save them, and the man who sells them to you knows it full well, and he will never say one word about it. By the end of this, you will know exactly how to keep your own seed this season from your own plants for almost nothing, the way it was done for hundreds of years before anybody ever thought to charge you for it. Stay with me. Here is what most folks get wrong before they even begin. They think a seed is a seed. They think the seed inside that pretty packet is the same kind of thing my grandmother kept in an envelope in a tin. It is not. And until you understand the difference, you will keep failing at this and blaming yourself when the failure was sold to you on purpose. There are two kinds of seed in this world. There is the kind that comes back true, where the seed of the plant grows up to be the same plant, the way it has always worked since the beginning, and there is the kind that does not. The seedmen have names for these. The good kind, the kind you can keep, they call open-pollinated. The other kind they call an F1 hybrid. We never used those words. We just called one a real seed and the other a sold seed. A hybrid is made by crossing two different parent plants to get one season of a fine-looking, even crop. That is all well and good for the man growing it once, but the children of that plant do not come back true. Save that seed and plant it next year, and you get a mess, a scatter of weak and strange plants that look like neither parent, so you cannot keep it. You have to go back and buy it again, and again, forever. Now, I will be honest with you the way I mean to be all the way through this, because honesty is the only thing that makes any of it worth your time. A hybrid is not poison. It is not evil. It grows good food. It is just bred to be a one-season seed, a rented seed, and not an owned one. So if your packet says hybrid on it or says F1, set that one aside. It will never make you independent. Instead, buy one packet of one open-pollinated variety or one heirloom, which is just an open-pollinated seed that some family kept going for generations. Spend your $3 one time, and that, the good Lord willing, is the last time you ever buy that plant, so you have your real seed in the ground. Now let me show you how to keep it, and we start with the easiest thing in all of gardening. We start with beans and peas. A child can do this. The reason they are so easy is a small miracle of how the plant is made. A bean flower pollinates itself inside the closed flower before it even opens to the world. So it does not cross with your neighbor's beans down the lane. It does not get muddled by the wind or the bee. The seed comes back true with no fuss at all. Here is the whole method. Do not pick them to eat. Find your healthiest plant. Leave a good handful of pods right on the vine and walk away. Let them go well past the eating stage. Let the pod turn from green to yellow to brown. Let it dry right there on the plant until it is papery and brittle and rattles when you shake it. When that pod is dry and the bean inside is hard as a little stone, pick it. Shell the beans out into a bowl, lay them on a plate or an old window screen somewhere out of the direct sun, and let them sit about a week until they are hard clear through. then into a jar. That is the whole game right there. It cost you nothing but a little patience and a handful of beans you chose not to eat. The tomato takes 5 more minutes of work, and there is a story in it for me. The tomato my wife grows is a pink one, an old German kind, the sort our people carried over the water generations back. And the tomato hides its seed a little cleverer than the bean. Those seeds are wrapped in a slick jelly inside the wet fruit, and that jelly is nature's own way of keeping the seed from sprouting while it is still sitting in all that moisture. So before you can store it, you have to get that jelly off, and you do it the way nature would, by letting it rot just a little. Scoop the seeds and their jelly into a glass jar, add a good splash of water, and set it on a warm windowsill. Leave it there 3 or 4 days. It will grow a film of mold across the top, and it will smell sour, and that is exactly right. Do not be put off by it. That little bit of rot eats the jelly clean off the seed, and it also clears away some of the sickness that can travel on a seed from one year to the next. After those few days, pour off the top. The dead and hollow seeds float. The good heavy seeds sink to the bottom, so the water does your sorting for you. The water will go cloudy, like skim milk, as you rinse the good seeds clean. Spread them on a plate to dry hard, then tuck them into a paper envelope. Now you have beans and you have tomatoes, 2 crops you will never buy again as long as you live. But 2 jars on a shelf is not yet independence. Let me show you how to turn this into a whole table that feeds a family. 1 jar of beans feeds a curiosity. It does not feed a household through a winter, so you have to think bigger than the one plant. Sit down and decide the handful of crops your family actually eats, the ones you would miss, and make a plan to save those. Save a little more seed than you think you need every single year, because some of it will not come up and you want the cushion. And keep a couple years of seed held back at all times so that one bad summer, one drought, or one early frost never wipes out your line for good. And here is an honest warning, because I will not send you off to fail. Leave the hard crops alone your first year. The squash, the corn, the cucumbers, the carrots, and the beets. Those cross freely on the wind and the bee, so the seed you save from them will surprise you, and not in a good way. The carrot will not even make you a seed until its second summer of growing, so do not start there. Start with the easy, self-pollinating ones, the beans and the peas and the tomatoes and the lettuce. Get those under your belt and build your confidence. Then, in a year or 2, you climb to the harder ones. There is one more habit, and it is the most important thing I will tell you today, and it costs you nothing but a little attention. Every year that you save seed, do not grab it from just any old plant. Save it from your best one. Save the seed of the tomato plant that kept setting fruit when the well ran low and the others gave up. Save the bean that thrived even though it got the poor corner of the row. Tie a little strip of cloth on that plant so you know it, and let that be your seed plant and no other. My grandfather used to walk his rows slow of an evening, hands clasped behind his back, just looking, picking out his keepers with nothing but his eyes. The college men have a fancy word for this. They call it selection. We just called it keeping the good ones and letting the rest feed the family. Do that for 10 years and something happens that no store can sell you. You are no longer growing the catalog's tomato. You are growing a tomato that has slowly shaped itself to your dirt, your weather, your corner of the world. A plant that thrives for you because it learned how, over all those seasons, in your own ground. That seed does not exist anywhere else on this earth, and it is worth more than anything in any packet. Let me say one thing before we go on. I read every comment that comes in on these, every single one, and I would take it as a real kindness if you told me down below which one crop you are going to save your own seed from this year, and what part of the country you are gardening in, because the bean that does well for me here in Lancaster County is not always the bean that will do well for you. And there are folks reading this from every corner of the map, growing the same way, learning the same things, by hand. It does a body good to know you are not the last one still doing it. Just the one crop That is all I ask. Then come on back and let me show you the rest. The fourth easy one is lettuce, and you have likely been throwing this seed away your whole life without knowing it. You eat lettuce for the leaf, but if you let one good plant keep on growing past its prime, it shoots up a tall stalk and flowers, and then turns to little puffs, almost like a dandelion gone to seed. Let those puffs dry on the plant, then rub them between your palms over a bowl, and the seed falls right out with the chaff. Blow the light chaff away gentle, and what is left in the bowl is next year's lettuce. Now, storing it, which is where most folks lose everything they worked for. Seed has three enemies, and they are damp, heat, and light. Beat those three, and your seed keeps for years. Beat none of them, and it is dead by spring. So keep your seed dry, keep it cool, and keep it dark. A paper envelope, tucked inside a glass jar with a tight lid, set on a low shelf in a cellar where the air stays cool. And label every last one with the name and the year you saved it, because I promise you that come February, a jar of mystery seed is no help to a living soul. I will give you the honest truth on how long it lasts too. A bean or a tomato seed kept dry and cool and dark will still come up strong 5, even 10 years down the road. But an onion seed or a lettuce seed is a tired old thing after a year or two, so use those up fresh and save them new each season. And when you are not sure whether some old seed is still alive, do not guess, and please do not trust the old float test where folks say the bad seed floats. Plenty of good seed floats and plenty of dead seed sinks, so that test will lie to you. Do this instead. Count out 10 seeds, lay them on a damp paper towel, fold it over, slip it into a bag, and set it somewhere warm. Check it in a week. If 7 or 8 of those 10 have pushed out a little white root, that seed is good, and you can sow it a touch thicker to make up for the few that fail. If only 2 come up, give the rest to the chickens and start fresh. Those 10 seeds will tell you the truth about the whole jar. Now here is the part that is bigger than any bean. Let us talk about what this is really worth. A family that gardens buys, what, $20, maybe $30 of seed a year, every year. For 50 years of gardening, that is real money handed over for something the plant gives you free, if you only ask it. But the money is the small loss. The big one is this. The day the store shelf sits empty, or the price doubles, or the one company that owns your favorite variety decides to quietly stop selling it, the man who saves his own seed does not even look up from his work. He already has next year sitting in a jar in his cellar. That right there is what independence actually is, not a word on a sign, a jar on a shelf. This is old, and it is precious, and folks have given their lives to keeping it alive. Back in 1975, a woman named Diane Ott Wheely said Wheely was handed 2 small things by her grandfather as he was dying: a pinch of morning glory seed and a pinch of seed from a pink tomato, seeds his own parents had carried over from the old country, from Bavaria, packed in a little box back in 1884. She understood in that moment that if she did not plant them, they would die when he did, the whole long line of them gone for good, so she planted them. And she started gathering up other families' seeds the same way, and that grew into a thing called the Seed Savers Exchange, which today guards better than 20,000 kinds of seed that would otherwise be gone from this earth entirely. My own people came over just the same. My great-great-grandfather Yoder crossed from the Palatinate, said Pal At and Ate, the southwest corner of what is now Germany, in 1838. The story handed down in our family is that he carried a Bible and a chest of carpenter's tools. I have always thought to myself there should have been seed in that chest too. Knowing the old ways, maybe there was. So why were you never taught any of this? Here is the plain truth, and there is no movie villain in it, just arithmetic, and I would rather give you the arithmetic than a boogeyman. There is no money in selling a man a seed one time. There is a great deal of money in selling him that same seed every single spring for the rest of his natural life. So, the seed got bred to be a one-season seed, the hybrid I told you about, And then it got something stronger than that. The big companies started taking out patents, which is a piece of paper that says this exact seed is our property and saving it is against the law. And I do not mean that as a fear story because it truly happened. Back in 2013, the highest court in the land took up the case of a farmer named Bowman out in Indiana who had saved and replanted patented seed the way every farmer who ever lived has saved seed. And the court ruled against him, all 9 of them, and said the company that holds the patent owns that seed even after you have bought it, even after it grows up out of your own ground, and you are not permitted to keep it. Now I will be square with you. That ruling is about the big patented commodity seed, the soybean and the field corn that the giant farms grow, not the heirloom bean in your kitchen garden. But it shows you plain as day which direction the whole thing has been pushed. And you will hear a darker story than that, so let me handle it honest. You will hear that they put a gene in the seed to make the next generation sterile, dead, unable to ever grow. A Terminator seed, folks call it. I am going to be straight with you the way I always am. That technology was real. It was drawn up and patented back in 1998. But it was never once sold, never planted in a single field anywhere in the world. The outcry got loud enough that the company promised to keep it on the shelf, and on the shelf it has stayed. So do not lie awake at night over sterile seed in your garden. It is not there. The real thing they did was quieter, and it worked far better than any sterile seed ever could have. They did not have to kill the seed. They only had to sell you a hybrid that does not come back true, and pass their laws about the patented kind, and then simply wait. Wait for a generation or two to pass until folks forgot that saving your own seed was ever a thing a person did. And most folks did forget. That is the whole trick of it. Not poison, just forgetting. So there it is, the whole of it in one breath. Start with one open-pollinated variety. Save your beans and peas by letting the pods dry brown and brittle on the vine. Save your tomatoes by rotting the jelly off in a jar on the windowsill. Save your lettuce off the puffs. Keep it all dry and cool and dark and labeled with the name and the year. Test the old seed on a damp paper towel before you trust it. And every single year, save from your best plant and no other. So this weekend, here is what I want you to do. Walk out to your garden and find your healthiest bean plant, or your best tomato, the one that is carrying fruit like it has something to prove. Tie a strip of cloth around it, and do not pick from that one. Let it ripen all the way past eating, all the way to dry and done. That one plant is now your seed stock, and it cost you nothing, not 1 cent. And if you have no heirloom in the ground yet at all, go buy 1 packet of one open-pollinated variety, $3, and let that be the very last time you ever buy it. And next summer, you will walk out on a warm evening with your bees still working the flowers in the last of the light, and you will pick a tomato off a plant that grew from a seed you dried on a plate in your own kitchen that grew from a tomato you raised the year before that. And you will understand something most folks have plumb forgotten they ever knew, that the garden was always meant to keep itself going, and that you were only ever meant to help it along. The folks in my community already know this. We never stopped doing it. I am only writing it down for the folks outside it who were never told or who were quietly taught to forget. Next time, I am going to show you the one thing out of your own pantry, something already sitting in your cupboard right now that will keep your saved seed alive and dry through the dampest, sourest winter. It is the trick my grandmother kept on her cellar shelf, and almost nobody alive still does it. Because the people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just now starting to remember. Keep your seed. I will see you next time.